Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. If you've been feeling stuck like you're just spinning your wheels, you are in exactly the right place. Think of me as your personal guide today. We're going to do a deep psychological breakdown to help you step firmly out of the denial zone, face exactly what's holding you back, and finally reclaim your true potential. So let's dive right in.
We're grounding today's session in Brianna Wiest's absolutely transformative work, The Mountain is You. We're going to use this as our clinical roadmap. We'll explore the hidden reasons why we sabotage ourselves and, more importantly, lay out the exact practical steps you need to transform that self-sabotage into ultimate self-mastery.
Here is our roadmap for today. First up, intake, where we break through denial. Then diagnosis, the anatomy of self-sabotage. Next, we're uncovering hidden blocks, followed by interventions and restructuring. And we'll finish with your prescription, radical responsibility. Let's start with Section 1, Intake, breaking denial and confronting the mountain.
Okay, so this mountain we're talking about, it's a really powerful metaphor. It represents that massive internal conflict between your conscious desires, what you really want to achieve, and the unconscious fears that are keeping you stuck. Look, having a mountain in front of you doesn't mean you're broken, not at all. You need to start viewing your current hardships, all that discomfort you're feeling right now, not as some kind of punishment, but as a necessary catalyst for deep personal transformation. We have to use this discomfort for growth rather than just constantly looking for an easy escape. To actually step out of denial, we have to get completely real. So I want you to do an exercise that sounds simple, but is actually pretty tough. I want you to make a detailed, exhaustive list of your current problems. I mean it. Write down every single debt, every unpaid bill, every recurring argument, and exactly what it is you currently dislike about yourself. We literally cannot fix what we refuse to acknowledge, right? Seeing the clear, objective reality of your situation down on paper, that's your very first step to transforming it.
Moving on to Section 2, Diagnosis, the anatomy of self-sabotage.
Now that we've admitted the problems, we have to diagnose why you keep standing in your own way. And here is a total game changer. Self-sabotage is absolutely not a sign of weakness or self-hatred or a lack of willpower. It's actually an incredibly intelligent, albeit maladaptive, protective measure. Your mind uses these behaviors to protect you from the terrifying unknown. It's seeking a hidden benefit, like avoiding the heavy responsibility and vulnerability that comes with actual, real success.
To see this hidden mechanism in action, let's look at a crazy story about Carl Jung, one of the most famous psychologists in history. As a kid, he absolutely hated school. After hitting his head one day, he realized, hey, I can avoid going back if I'm unwell. And suddenly, he unconsciously developed these intense fainting spells. His mind literally created a physical symptom, a neurosis, as a hidden benefit so he could avoid the discomfort of his peers. It's wild, right? But your self-sabotage is doing the exact same thing for you.
Let's bring this into the modern day. Are you constantly exhausted, like always busy? Listen, professional burnout and chronic busyness are profound forms of self-sabotage. If you're constantly overwhelming yourself with an impossible workload, you're more than likely using it as a distraction. You're using it to avoid confronting the terrifying silence of your unfulfilled core desires. You're literally suppressing your true needs by hiding behind your calendar.
Let's get into Section 3, Uncovering Hidden Blocks.
You might actually be experiencing what's known as adjustment shock, or hitting your upper limit of happiness. See, we all have this internal thermostat for how good we allow ourselves to feel. When you start succeeding and things get great, it feels unfamiliar. And to your brain, unfamiliar equals unsafe. So, what do? You subconsciously blow up those positive changes just to return to a baseline that feels familiar to you, even if that baseline is totally miserable. To stop fearing success, you have to allow your nervous system to slowly adjust to feeling good.
Let's do a practical exercise right now regarding financial success. Take a hard look at your negative associations. If you grew up constantly hearing that rich people are terrible or corrupt, well, your subconscious is going to make absolutely sure you never become one, just so you aren't hated. We have to use a technique called script rewriting here. You need to actively replace those old limiting beliefs with inspiring affirmations. Rewrite that script to, money is simply a tool that allows me to buy back my time and help others.
Now, when you start pushing past these limits, anxiety is absolutely going to strike. Think of your feelings like water running through ducts in your body. When fear arises, I want you to track your bodily sensations. Allow the emotion to rise and just observe exactly where it physically constricts you. Is it in your chest, your stomach? Then apply mindful breathing. Breathing deeply into that tension clears it out. signaling exactly where your internal psychological blocks live and safely releasing them.
All right, section 4, cognitive interventions.
This next exercise is absolutely crucial. You have got to learn to separate the objective facts of your life from your internal subjective fears. Our brains are masters at creating faulty inferences. Your brain will take a normal, objective fact, like I am starting a new job, and catastrophize it into a massive, subjective threat, like I'm going to be humiliated and lose everything. It does this to shield you from potential loss. You must start separating the plain, boring facts from the catastrophic stories you tell yourself.
Notice how this totally reframes failure. When you stop trying to control every single worst-case scenario, you transition into productive thinking. You have to realize there is a massive difference between failing because you boldly tried something new and failing because you let fear convince you to not even show up at all. Leaning into the discomfort of the unknown, that is exactly how you build an anti-fragile mind.
And finally, Section 5, prescription, action plan, and radical responsibility.
I want you to use this as your everyday checklist. Track these active defensive mechanisms. Are you obsessing over perfectionism so you don't actually have to launch that project? Are you uprooting and quitting right before things get serious? Are you judging others just to make yourself feel superior? You have to catch yourself in real time when your old identity tries to pull you back into the cozy, familiar comfort of your self-sabotage cycle.
To swap out those destructive mechanisms, we're going to establish these healthy, daily self-regulation rituals. Look, true transformation doesn't happen in some massive, theatrical breakthrough. It happens in tiny micro-shifts. Read just one page, drink a glass of water, step away from social media, and most importantly, learn to disconnect your actions from your feelings. You have to do the things that are good for you even when your body screams that it doesn't feel like doing them today.
Here is the hard truth, the absolute core of this entire journey. Your new life is going to cost you your old one. You must practice radical responsibility. This means fully accepting that you, and only you, have the power to create your future. It also means you have to mourn the loss of your old self. You have to say a final goodbye to the coping mechanisms that kept you safe, sure, but ultimately kept you small.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. That mountain standing in front of you, it isn't just a hurdle. It's your true calling. Overcoming it requires nothing less than the absolute mastery of yourself. So, take a look at the life you've been putting off. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, are you finally ready to let go of your old identity and start the climb? Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Go out there and start making those micro shifts today.